All right, welcome everybody. Welcome into my studio, my house, my home, where all of the videos that you see on Facebook and YouTube are produced right here. And they upload it on Facebook and YouTube. And I'd like to say thank y'all for all of y'all support. And today I want to talk about the black politicians, how they got started, man, because sometimes they forget the shoulders that they rode on to get to be a mayor, to be a city councilman in a district, be a city councilman at large. Because these people who started this are historical people that never got mentioned because they was always in the background trying to look out for our black interest future. And that was Dr. John B. Coleman, Mickey Leland, Judson Robinson Jr. and Judson Robinson Sr., and also Mr. Zollie Scales Sr. And can't forget about Mr. McHanna. These people knew that we needed some black representation, and we had already elected the first black city councilman, which was Judson Robinson Jr., and that was a city councilman at large. And they had city councilmen at large positions, and they was all occupied, them seats was all occupied by white folks. Only black person that was on the city councilman was Judson Robinson Jr., and that was in city councilman position 5. And then they started, when I say they started, because it was a push with Mickey Leland, Dr. Coleman, and also Zollie Scales Sr., along with Reverend Moore out of St. Agnes, also along with Reverend Lawson, Mr. McHanna. All of those leaders knew that we need some representation in 3rd Ward. And at that time, our city councilman was Homer Ford. And what Homer Ford cared about us blacks in 3rd Ward was, hey, it was nothing. After the Jews and the whites had moved out of McGregor and Riverside, he didn't too much care about 3rd Ward no more. But we needed somebody who could care for us. And they had a vote about putting districts into city councilmen, adding more seats to the city councilman other than the 5. And then that's when Kathy Whitmire, along with the other city councilmen, they really didn't like it, but quite naturally you had Judson Robinson Jr., you had Dick Godley, you had Frank Mancuso, and you had Frank Mann, and Johnny Goin, and also Mr. Homer Ford, who represented 3rd Ward. 5th Ward had representation, because Judson Robinson won that seat. And Judson Robinson was at large. He had just as much power, and most people got to understand this. A city councilman at large has more power just about than the mayor of the city, because they are a city-wide election. And therefore, we didn't have any black representation. So Judson Robinson Jr., along with Dr. Coleman and Mickey Leland, they spearheaded a black coalition of black political train. And the train started out here in 3rd Ward with Dr. Coleman, Mr. McHanna, Mr. Zollie Scales was a big part of that. Mr. Zollie Scales Sr., that's over there at Jordan Grove Missionary Baptist Church. And Reverend Everett. All of these black ministers, they was involved. I can't say that about the ones today. They are mega churches now. And at the time, they had all pulled together. And I can't forget about Reverend Moore out there at St. Agnes, out there in Sunnyside. He was also part of that. And I can't forget about Skipper Lee. He was also part of that. And that was a South Side train. Then you went on the north side. You had Reverend Clarence Jackson at Pleasant Grove. Then you also had Joe E. Wilcox at Bible Day Revival. And then you also had Reverend Leo Daniels at Jerusalem out there in Trinity Garden. And then you also had Reverend Floyd Williams over there in Acres Home. All of these ministers, they all was on the same page with Mickey Leland and Dr. Coleman. And that's why they went in there and forced those white folks into putting in districts. And the first district that we all knew was District D. And in that seat was Anthony Hall. And I want to acknowledge the growth and the progress that what these black pioneers had started is in power. Because it went into power when I seen Lee Brown be a police chief. Mickey Leland went handpicked. I'm telling you the truth, man. Something that you don't know about, you probably didn't know. Mickey Leland handpicked Lee Brown for Kathy Whitmire to be our first black police chief. And Mickey went way to Atlanta, Georgia to get Lee Brown to come to Houston. Little we know that Lee Brown would become our mayor and become our first black mayor. God is good. But the political train started there. And I can't forget about Craig Washington, because Craig, he was always there with Mickey Leland. Him and Mickey was just, they stood together like brothers. And I'm proud to say that Craig Washington is still doing fine. And he understands exactly what I'm saying. And when they got into the districts, that enabled people to come into power. Because nobody could get Homer Ford out of office. And Homer Ford didn't give a damn about black folks in Third Ward. Trust me, he didn't. When the Jews moved out and the blacks moved in, Homer Ford concerned about blacks was little or nothing. You know, they got a park out there. McGregor Park got a tennis court after him because that's the way the Jews, them, and the white folks out there in what at that time was an all-white park. So the people who enjoyed the park was the Jews who lived on McGregor and the white folks that lived out there in South Park, on South Park Boulevard, because that wasn't blacks. Them was all white folks. And when they went in the districts, it mainly was because of Homer Ford. We needed representation in Third Ward. And we went in the districts and we got it done. They got it done for the city. But okay, on the other side, you had the county. Man, Tom Bass didn't do a damn thing for black folks, y'all. I'm telling you the truth. They tried their level best to get Tom Bass, because he was our county commissioner in Third Ward. They tried their level best to get him out. When I say they, that means we as a black race of people and the black ministers had pulled together, and they just couldn't get these people out of office. That's why they decided to go in the districts. And they went in the districts, and when the city went in the district, later on the Harris County went in the district. That's why you got L. Franco Lee to fulfill that job. And now Mr. Rodney Ellis is fulfilling that job. And I look back at the pioneers and what they had to do to open the doors for some of these young people, politicians, as Mayor Sylvester Turner.